Hey y'all, today we're making salsa. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet. See, back in World War II, just kidding, let's go make salsa. We're going to grab some yellow jalapenos, a random celebrity because that's what's growing, some yellow pear, Anaheim peppers, and a bunch of these candy cane peppers too. They just make for delicious snacking. A few big beautiful bell peppers because bell peppers are fantastic in salsa. Bell peppers can be harvested at any point and still taste the same. We're actually going to get a ton of these orange zinger tomatoes. Y'all know they're my favorite. You can go back and watch my video on how to plant them. And then a whole bunch of Romas, because what's salsa without Roma? I have a ton of these cherry tomatoes also, so we're going to go ahead and put them in there too. At this point, my bowl is getting quite full, and I still have to get onions, so I don't want to smash these. So I grabbed another bowl. Did find a couple more tomatoes and peppers, but these 10-15 onions are going to be amazing. Now let's go to the kitchen. I'm going to set my oven on convection roast for 350. And while the oven's heating up, I'm going to give everything a really good wash. There's a few different ways to prep your tomatoes for making salsa. You can either cut them up and just make fresh salsa. You can blanch them in boiling water and it helps the skins come off. Or you can just put them on a cookie sheet and put them in the oven. This is a lot easier when you have a whole bunch of little tomatoes. Nobody has the time to peel all of these, and if you do, you have my pity. I'm going to try and squeeze my Roma tomatoes on here too. For the Romas, I am just going to cut the end off and chuck it into the compost. Some of your tomatoes are going to be less than perfect, and that's okay. The compost doesn't care. And half this tomato, totally usable. Once I get them all spread out onto my baking sheet, they're going to go into the oven. I'm going to use another sheet for my peppers, except this is pathetic and I need more. I have two other kinds of peppers that I'm going to try. I have these cayenne peppers, which aren't ripe yet, so I don't really know the heat. And then I also have these peppers right here, and they're called Alter Ego. Never tried one before, so we're going to make the hubby taste test to see which one we're going to use. How hot is it though? Scale of 1 to 10. Okay.
It's that hot.
Okay.
It's warmer.
Warmer? Okay. How warm? Pretty warm?
Pretty warm.
And Alter Ego it is. Tomatoes have been in for about 15 minutes and they look fantastic. So I'm going to pull them out and then put my peppers in. And while the peppers are roasting and the tomatoes are cooling off where I can take the skins off the Romas, I'm going to chop up my other vegetables. I always save all of my extra scraps for the compost. I will say that I severely underestimated how potent these are. If you struggle with this problem like I do, light some candles next to your cutting board. It really helps. I'm going to give my onions a nice fine chop. But if you haven't lost your metal blade for your food processor like I have, this part's really not necessary. You could just quarter them, but I'm going to do this and then set them aside. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my bell peppers. I do remove the cores and just give them a nice fine chop. I personally don't roast my bell peppers because I think it gives them a weird flavor. And then I'm just going to set these aside for later as well. I'm going to grab my roasted peppers out of the oven, and they look fantastic. And then I'm going to peel all the skins off of my Romas. This is really easy to do. And then I'm just going to put them right into the food processor. You can chop these before putting them in the food processor, but it's really not necessary. The tomatoes are soft enough. They pulse up pretty good. I don't want to turn this into a paste, so I do constantly check the consistency after every few pulses. And when it looks like this, that looks good to me. We like it chunky. And I ran out of mixing bowls, so I'm just going to use this big pan. And be sure to always drop the blade in there because it really adds to the flavor. Just remember to remove it. I added all my small tomatoes into the food processor, but it really didn't matter how many times I pulsed it. They just weren't breaking up as well as the Romas because this plastic blade super sucks. So I'm actually gonna go into the blender with these, and I don't even care if it gets turned into a pulp. There's plenty of chunks in the Roma. We're just adding these for flavor anyway. It's crazy how it can look so gross and taste so good. I'm gonna go straight into the blender with my roasted peppers. I just removed the stem and I put the whole thing in there. I'm gonna use the Anaheim, the Serrano, the yellow jalapenos, and I'm only gonna add one of the alter egos, at least for now, until we taste test. We can add it again later. I'm scared to even touch this thing. I'm gonna use half of my pre-chopped bell peppers and half of my pre-chopped onions. And if you can't tell by the angle of the camera in the last few shots, this is my 9-year-old son recording these parts, but was not recording when I put in 2 large ladlefuls of the tomatoes. That just helps everything blend together really well to get the flavors into the salsa. And the other half of the onion and pepper went right into the tomatoes. You can blend all of it, but like I said, we like it chunky. And I wanted to try it with just nothing but the fresh ingredients from the garden, and it was really good. But I love salsa, and there are some store-bought things that you just have to add. Because my Hispanic friends have ruined me, I had a couple huge tablespoons of, I'm gonna butcher this, but caldo di pollo. Jerry's gonna kill me on my pronunciation on that one. And Anne, you can go ahead and laugh, but you weren't here for this video like you're supposed to be. Salsa is just not complete without cilantro, so I did have to store-buy this, but I cannot grow cilantro in my zone during the summer. We love cilantro, so I add an entire bundle. I also add the juice from a whole lime and a whole lemon. You can use vinegar, but to me this tastes way better. And then I'm gonna add a big tablespoon of salt. I am using kosher salt right now, but you can use whatever you want. Just know that if you make this salsa, you're gonna have to start beating the neighbors away with a stick before they get their rations. When I make salsa, there's no exact science to it. It's forever changing from whatever I'm growing in the garden. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make another video on how I jar salsa for long-term storage. Even though I made a crap ton of salsa between my neighbors and my family, this is gonna be gone by tonight. I hope y'all try this general recipe, and thank you so much for watching.
Nice, very nice.